Alright, here's my story for the day. I just got done getting fuel. I'm getting back up on the highway, and I want to tell you or share with you something that I think is important for us to think about. Okay, the Bible tells us to examine all things, okay? You can examine all things or not. But right now, we're all hearing a bunch of different things. We're seeing all kinds of different things. And maybe we're not sure what we should be believing. Maybe we're so frustrated that we can't think straight. I get that way sometimes. I get so frustrated, especially lately. I get so frustrated sometimes in my believing and knowing that my faith is being tested. Trust me, I am feeling the same way. But when we go back to God's Word, like I have to do, we all could use a little bit of God's Word right now. And God says we should test all things. Examine all things. Okay, so this is my story for today. I'm going to just contribute to the things that I know, things that I'm examining, things that I'm finding out, and in the middle of my frustration, I'm trying to be humble and examine all things, because we can easily overreact. This is my problem. I overreact. So anyway, I take my daughter to the doctor to find out if she has strep throat or not, because she has a sore throat. She's got a history of having sore throats and strep throat and tonsil stones and possibly tonsillitis. Oh yeah, and there's also these other things like mono, bronchitis, hand, foot, and mouth disease, which I just recently heard of. I'm not sure what that is, but I guess it's a thing. Okay, just knowing all that stuff, okay? I go to the doctor to find out why my daughter has a sore throat. It's literally swollen. She has spots on it, kind of like strep throat, but kind of looks like tonsil stones that she has. She recently just had an outburst of tonsil stones on her throat, on her tonsils. And normally what she does is she pops them out, and her throat, it doesn't stay swollen, and it goes away and everything's fine. Well, this time she's kind of got a redness that's swollen since she's popped out her tonsil stones. If you've never heard of that, look it up. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life. But she has them. So, anyway, we go into the doctor. The doctor says, "What are you in here for? What would you like me to do for you?" I said, "Well, I would like to have her throat checked out, see, why her throat is spotted, like maybe she has strep throat or something." Okay, so he was like, "All right, I'll have the nurse come in and we'll get you a test for that." All right? With a glaze over his eyes. Okay? He didn't check her throat, like her glands. He looked into her throat with a light. He took a light, shined it in. Oh yeah, it looks pretty swollen to me. looks kind of red. Have you run a fever? She said no. No fever, just a headache. You know, the normal questions. So then, with a glaze over his eyes, he said, would you like us to test you for this new thing, you know? And I said, no, I don't want to test for that. You know, I want to know why her throat's swollen. And he was like, all right. So they ordered a test, yada, yada. All this such and such goes on, and he sends me home with a note for her to go back to school. Okay? So we get home, and I start realizing, you know, he never said anything about checking her for tonsillitis, even though I told him that she's had a history of getting many sore throats her whole life. She gets them very frequently, and she's 16 years old. She's been having these sore throats like probably since she was 5, maybe younger. And they told us that eventually, if she continued to get tonsillitis and sore throats with her tonsils, that they would remove them, which they haven't done yet. They haven't said anything about that yet. He's supposed to send a referral for me to go to a throat specialist, possibly. I haven't heard anything. It's been 2 days now. But he wants to know if I want to get this one test. And I said, no, that's not what I'm here for. I'm here for her tonsils. And that's what I would like for us to focus on. But he had this glaze over his eyes, choosing not to talk to me about any other thing that might have something to do with her throat. Okay? But I hope that we realize, you know, that there are other things that go on in our body. And the more they look into it, the more they look into our body, they're going to find all kinds of cool new little things that go in on our body, because we have lots of organisms in our body. We have all kinds of things going on in our body. And just because they find one new thing, that shouldn't surprise you. Don't be scared. Don't be afraid that that's the only thing they're going to focus on right now. Okay? So we're going to get to the bottom of this, and we're going to figure out what's going on. And, you know, just continue on knowing that our bodies are beautifully and wonderfully made by God. Okay? And God is much bigger than any tiny little speck they might find in their microscope. Okay? So I hope that just helps you to maybe look at another, you know, other things other than, you know, that glaze that they're trying to put over their eyes right now, and to put over our eyes, veiling our eyes, that this might be the only thing that's wrong, is like this is the answer, and the everything is wrong because of this one little thing. No. Our bodies are beautifully and wonderfully made, okay, by God. So, examine all things. Be safe.